Hi, folks. Tom Hinkle, compliance guru with Safe Systems, and this is the first of what we hope to be several video blogs over the next few months. The intent is to find topics that are of interest to financial institutions and kind of unpack them a little bit, short, concise sort of format. And we thought the best way to do that would probably be to start with the questions that are submitted to the Compliance Guru site. So, essentially that's what we're going to do for the first few. And just a few weeks ago, if you're familiar with the site, there's a place on the Compliance Guru site where you can click and ask the guru. Of course, when you do that, it opens up another screen. You fill in your name, email address, your message, and you click Seek Enlightenment, and then that goes to the compliance team. So a couple of weeks ago, we got a question that came in from, and by the way, as you can see, if you do submit a question, we may use it, and that's essentially what we're doing today. The question came in from an examiner of all folks with the OCC. We blurred out his name, but clearly the email address is an OCC address, so we know that this is a valid address for this individual. And the message, as you can see there, the email is fairly short. It said, "Are regulators considered vendors for banks?" And then it requests a legal reference. And that was an interesting question because it's one that we've discussed internally in our compliance department. And we originally, years ago, started out under the assumption that federal regulators were not vendors per se, not traditional vendors. However, our opinion has changed on that, has evolved over the years, and we now believe that they are. So I wanted to kind of deconstruct this question. As you can see, I made a very, I guess, comprehensive reply to this individual, and I'm happy to share that with you if you want, but I'll kind of break it down into its individual components, how we got to the conclusion that we are today. The first question is, would you be impacted by a data breach at the provider? Negatively impacted. And I think you can honestly, you don't have to dig very hard to find examples of data breaches among regulators. And would you be negatively impacted by that? Yes, for sure, depending on what was breached and in whose hands, I guess, the data wound up. But yeah, no question about it. They do have access to non-public information. The examiners do, and that is sort of traditionally the definition of whether or not you'd be negatively impacted is do they store, process, or transmit customer NPI? And certainly you can say that all the regulators do that in the course of their normal examinations. So I think the answer to that is yes. The second question is, are the services provided by this particular third-party provider, in this case the examiner, critical to your operations? And again, I think the answer to that is yes, because every bank charter is contingent upon, or maintaining that charter is contingent upon adhering to all the laws and regulations of that particular regulatory body. So in order to achieve and maintain deposit insurance, in order to maintain that bank charter, yes, you have to successfully pass a series of audits and exams. And if you don't do that, certainly this particular provider has the power and the authority to shut you down as a banking organization. So are their services critical to your operations? I would say the answer to that is yes as well. So our reply kind of in summary to that examiner was that we felt, at least our current opinion, is that regulators do clearly meet the criteria of a critical third party, and that they also may have access to NPI or confidential in the course of their normal business, their normal interactions with you. So for all those reasons, our position is that banks must include the primary federal regulator in their vendor risk management process. Now, this may be a second part to this video blog, but regulators are not really as forthcoming about controls, or may not have the same controls as other third parties. for example, try to get a SOC report from a federal regulator. They don't exist. So, that's another question. But yes, they should be risk assessed alongside all other vendors. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to send them to me, either Ask the Guru or compliance@safesystems.com, and we'll be more than happy to reply to them. So thank you for now, and we'll see you again.